When when I when I first began to detransition, I was a very vulnerable person, and I also was coming off of almost 20 years of a drug addiction, meth, and so I went from living a lifestyle where everything was about sex and getting high and not worrying about nothing. Actually, the only thing I did worry about was about getting arrested. That's it. But the rest of the time, I would go on trips. I would buy anything I wanted. The best parfums, the best everything, lingerie, high heels, anything, hair products. You're talking really expensive stuff. Eating at Whole Foods, from Whole Foods. I mean, you name it. My rent was paid 2-3 months ahead because I didn't want to get behind if I got arrested. Now I'm talking about the years that the first year that I began to escort, it was in the streets, and I managed to. Oh, I know what happened. I had gone to. Wow, man, I need to do an outline of this because I believe what happened. No, what happened is that, oh shit, how did it happen? Whoa. I think what happened is that I had gotten arrested and this is what's interesting about these videos, because when I was supposed to do, well, let me go back a little bit. When I was supposed to do a video for Soft White Underbelly, I didn't want to be one of those. I wanted to prepare myself for the video because I wanted him to release me and let me speak freely. And because the way he does his show is that he asks you first, where are you from? Tell me about your childhood. And questions like that. And it usually goes real quick. Well, I didn't want that because I have a shitload of things to talk about. My experience, what I did, how I lived, what it was like to have breasts, and live like a female 24/7. So I remember doing an outline, and I said, okay, what am I going to talk about? So I said, okay, well, I know he's going to ask. The first thing he's going to ask, tell me about your parents. How was your childhood? Okay, so I wrote it down, my childhood. And then out of that what started was like a bunch of other life experiences that were in between. So like, for example, my childhood with my parents. Okay, well, I guess first I would talk about my parents. Okay, blah, 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 blah. And then would come another topic about, I'm not prepared, you guys, but so next thing you know, I have like this enormous list on just my childhood. And then from that, it jumps up to the next one about, for example, like the next major subject would be, okay, like first it was the childhood, Christmas and how we never had food, blah, blah, blah. And then, and then all of a sudden, religion and blah, blah, blah. And so religion came and, you're 15, you're what do you call it, man? At Catholic, you're, I forget what it's called. It's like a quinceañera, but it's not. It's different. And your first communion is what it's called. And then I started to remembering what the hell I was doing during that first communion thing. And then all of a sudden, it clicked. I said, oh, I was having sex with Chewy, the neighbor down at the end of the street. Okay, so then comes the subject of Chewy. Oh, well, how did I start having sex with Chewy? And then I started to remembering how it was the first time, what happened, how did you start at 15, 14 years old? I think it was like 13 or 14, I don't remember. And I started to remember how it happened. So then all of a sudden, and then it grows to, okay, well, what did you do with Chewy, And then I start going into real graphic stuff, man, like, yeah. And and then it starts growing, and then you start going into your mid-teens, and then you jump into I started to jump into what happened when I was 17 or 16, I think. Yeah, 16. That I started to learn how to play guitar. Well, I started to learn how to play guitar at 16, and then all of a sudden, how I went to Spokane, Washington to learn how to play guitar more with my uncle. And then all of a sudden that starts, and then it begins to then a bunch of other stuff, and after a while I had an enormous freaking list, and then when I stopped, I started going through it, rereading it, and it was like a mind-blowing experience of reliving your life from childhood to when I was with my uncle Alfonso at 17 years old, and then when I left Spokane. So that period alone was really shocking, because like I said, you go back to your actual childhood and teen years, and to your preteen, your teen, and then your late teens. And I said, wow, man. I said, your life really flashed right before your eyes out your childhood and teen years. It's like it flashed right before my eyes. And I still had a lot more to talk about. I said, shit, man, I haven't even gone to the other remainder of my life story. I said, fuck. Wow, man. I said, this is powerful. And so yeah, I know that a lot of the videos that I see about detransitioners, and I don't mean to put them down, but at the same time, they haven't even experienced what a true life as a female, they haven't experienced it, because the majority of the videos that I've seen are like these young, pretty, cute. They're still in their prime age, where they're cute and sexy, and anything they wear will, wow, and then all of a sudden they say, oh, I detransitioned, and they only lived like a year. a year, really? And they didn't even, like, maybe some might have changed their names, might have not. Some were doing it like undercover, because they don't want to be seen. Others, I don't know, took hormones and blah, blah, blah. But to truly experience what it's like to be living as a female, I haven't heard I've heard very few of them. And the ones that I've seen they were like about maybe 6 of them, but they were older detransitioners like me. And they went to living a pretty successful life. But then when you listen to their discussions, they had friends, family, jobs, support. I mean, they had everything. They have everything. And all these other young ones that say they detransitioned after a year, that's nothing. That's like still playing with your puberty. You know, that's like still going through your hormone change, you know? So I guess my question is that I don't know, how has it gone for you? And I guess what I'm saying is that those people that detransitioned after a year or maybe even 2 years, you know, I mean, they're still young, and it's nothing. It's nothing to detransition for them. It's very easy. But for those who have truly gone through the whole, I mean, I know there's a few out there that really have gone through it. I don't know, I guess my story is different. You know, I didn't go through no psychiatrist. I didn't go through no support of anything. The only support I had was when I went with Kaiser. And that was because I had gotten a job as a female at a place called the Ness Recovery House. I think it's called the Friends House now. And I was about maybe 30 something, I think. 35 maybe. And I was a peer advocate for the transgender community. I facilitated a support group on Beechwood Street in Hollywood. The Ness Recovery House, it was called. Kathy Watts, I think was her name, my supervisor. She was a bitch, man. I still fucking hate her, man. I think her last name was Kathy Watt. Skinny little fucking lesbo bitch, man. And then the other one, that was the boss, and then my supervisor was this black girl named God, what the hell was her name, man? Kimberly. Man, she fucking drove me nuts, man. And later I found out that when they replaced me, they hired this other trans girl named Sulma. She was a big tranny. Very nice though, don't get me wrong. She was just husky-like. But man, she was, you don't want to fuck with her. But she was nice though. Just don't get on her bad side, man. And when she started working there, other workers that I had ran into later told me that Sulma was going to beat the living shit out of her right in front of the staff meeting. I don't remember what happened, if she actually punched her, or I don't remember. But that Kimberly, man, she was a nasty fucking lesbian bitch, man. And I remember one time her fucking dyke stinking fucking lesbian lover met me, and she gave me the nastiest look, man. And I just stood there like, what? Like, what the fuck? I guess she was jealous because I was prettier than her. That's what I felt, you know, because I knew I was very attractive. I know I don't look anything like it right now, you know, but I knew that I was very attractive. And I think she was jealous. I think she was fucking jealous. So that I mean, I raised that support group from the ground up. I mean, there was like 4, 5, maybe 6, you know, on a good day. And when I left that support group packed, wall to wall, and everybody loved me. Every one of those girls. And I loved that job. I loved doing that job, you know. And unfortunately, I got fired. I got fired because this stupid fucking dickhead, pussy, asshole, Eric was his name, Eric. That fucker, man, went and cried, snitched to the supervisor, because one day we were out in the streets. We would go out into the streets to work with the outreach, passing condoms and taking data and then passing it to the Center for Disease Control. And one day, that fucker Eric and I got into it wasn't a yelling argument. It wasn't yelling, but we were just disagreeing with something. I don't remember what it was. And the guy went and told Kathy and Kimberly that I don't know what he said to them. I guess the pussy got offended. And I do remember, I don't know, I think he did say something in front of me. Yeah, he did. He said something about that I was like bad-mouthing the seniors because it went to his head one day at a staff meeting when we were having a staff meeting, and Kathy, the ugly fucking bitch, said something about my coworkers were the seniors. So it's like, what was I supposed to do? I guess they wanted me to humble myself and submit to myself to these guys, you know. These guys, man, that I worked with, they worked with the gay men, but I had to be with them also because we were outreach. I was doing the transgender and they were doing the gays. And it was so funny because they were supposed to be going with me and protecting me against, like, well, the homeless. We would go to the streets, to the nitty-gritty, and to the clubs at nighttime. And they were supposed to be there to protect me in case something happened. Man, they were more fucking feminine than I was, you know. Hi, hon. Careful, hon. Okay. Yeah. Another one was Robert. Robert was always whining, you know. I forget. Tony was pretty cool, but Tony was a little wild, man. Tony, he had like a bunch of tattoos. He was into scarification, had this enormous nose ring, and yeah, he was yeah, but he was a tweaker too, man. Not during the job, but after I got fired, I found out that he was in recovery again. But I liked Tony. And Tony talked to me one time and he said that he told Eric, the guy who fucking got me fired, he told him, he goes, "You fucked up, man. You got her fired," he said to him. And so yeah, it was, yeah. So anyways, well, this video has gone longer than what I expected. I'm you know, if you're watching and you detransitioned, I mean, I'd love to know what happened to your detransition. You know, was it easy? Was it hard? How are you doing now? And so forth. you know, and hopefully if I get enough subscribers, you know, I'll do a live stream. Maybe if there's 5, 6, 7, or 10 at least, you know, I'll do a live stream, and I'll bring a bunch of photographs. If you want to see photographs, I'll have them all right in front of me, and I'll have to put them up on the screen like this. But it would be fun and it would be motivating. Okay, well, thank you so much, and please like and subscribe. Bye.